Welcome back. Businesses are reacting to President Trump's pledge on tariffs. Some companies are concerned the plan to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports could result in price increases, shortages, or even retaliatory trade barriers on American exports, according to the Wall Street Journal. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross addressed those fears during our interview on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday.
The impact on a can of beer will be a fraction of 1%. Beer sells for over $1 a can. Impact on bumblebee tuna packages, again, trivial. So it isn't the important fact that there are more people working in steel consuming industries than in steel producing. The important fact is how trivial these amounts are relative to their business.
And, of course, Wilbur Ross was a former CEO of a steel company. Joining us right now is Fat Brands International Chairman, former CEO of McDonald's USA, and former CEO of famous Dave's Barbecue, Ed Rensi, joining the conversation. Ed, good to see you.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Your take on this?
Well, I look at what President Trump's doing, and he's been talking about this ever since he started running for office. He believes our trade deals are unfair. And I think this is much a political statement as it is an economic statement. He's firing a shot across the bow of China, telling them to get their dumping under control and to behave themselves and understand that we want fair trade deals. This is going to trickle down. It's going to impact every business in the United States one way or the other over time. Hopefully, it'll rationalize, it'll settle down. The implications for small businesses like the restaurant industry is all about steel for equipment, steel for construction, aluminum packaging, and things of that nature. It'll probably be a year to 18 months before we really see a significant effect. Hopefully, we can get some of these agreements straightened out. But Trump is not to be messed with. He's not a politician. He's looking out for America and America's workers. And when he says, I want to make America great again, he means it.
So it sounds like you're not worried about the impact, and you agree with the notion that you said earlier, Lee Carter, that it's a little of playing poker here. And this is more about telling China, get in line and change your practices because we mean business than anything else.
I think that's absolutely correct. I've traveled around the world quite a bit, and I've been all over Europe and Asia. And believe me, their economies are in a lot worse shape than we're in. We are a big consumer of goods in this country, and it needs to be done in a way that's fair to our workers and our consumers. And China has got a dumping attitude. You know, they're producing steel and aluminum like crazy, and they're just dumping it in the United States.
If and when China makes a change,
that's my words, not the government's.
If China does make a change on this stuff, Dagan, then it would have been worth it.
Maybe, but it's not just China; it's every nation that we trade with, and the way that we manufacture in the world is so exceedingly complicated.
Right.
It's not a zero-sum game, if you will. But Ed, I want to raise an issue. As a former CEO of McDonald's, if this is done, say, 25% steel tariff, 10% aluminum tariff, and it doesn't happen, would you have ever, as the CEO of McDonald's, told your customers 25% price increase on everything that we sell? Oh, I don't really mean that. I'm just testing the waters. Like, if you're a CEO and President Trump's the CEO of the United States, that's what doesn't make sense to people if he's not going to step up and do it the way it was explained in the last 3 or 4 days.
Well, you know, he is not a politician. He is what he is, and he's bold and he's inarticulate in a lot of ways when he does these things. But free markets have to prevail ultimately. And that's what we should be shooting for.
No, but Ed, my point as a CEO would never do this.
Everybody needs to win.
My point as a CEO would never actually do that. You say he's not a politician. Well, if he's the CEO, a CEO would never test the waters with such a dramatic proclamation that they are trying to use as a negotiating tactic.
Well, I'd have to agree with you about that, but he is what he is, and it's what we got to live with. And I'm not very happy with what he does sometimes.
Wilbur Ross says this is trivial, that this isn't going to have a big effect on the cost of a soup can or eating
tuna
out.
fish.
Do you think it's trivial?
Well, I don't think it's trivial at all. It may be trivial when you get down to a beer can, but we're talking about faith of nations. We're talking about free trade. We're talking about strategic direction. And strategically, I wonder why he's doing what he's doing. Tactically, it may make some sense in the short term. But it rocked the world. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's looking to find out what the answers are going to be. And it's not going to be easy.
Ed, I don't know if you saw the president's tweet that he just put out where he said it looked like he was shifting a little bit his position, saying that he's going to put this on NAFTA. I don't know if you saw that, but that to me is also another indication that he is, in fact, using this as a negotiating strategy. I
think that's exactly right. It may not be the best strategy, but it's what he's using, and he's fired a shot across everybody's bow. And the world's reacting right now. You hear every leader of every country talking about how unfair this is. Okay, right. Then get together and start talking about what is fair.
So give us the practicality of this, Ed. You were running McDonald's USA. You see steel tariffs on aluminum of 10%, on steel of 25%. Let's say, hypothetically, you're still running McDonald's USA. What are you going to do? How much are you going to raise prices? 10% and 25%?
Well, for every penny of increase in cost, or 1% increase in cost, you have to raise your menu board prices about 3% or 3 times. So it does have an impact, but we're talking about small matters when you're talking about a small business. When you're talking about the faith of the nation, the direction of the nation, that's a far more strategic matter and one that has to be managed very, very carefully. And Trump can be grossly inarticulate at times. I really wonder what's really going on, why they're really doing what they're doing. Because this isn't about 0.6 cents on a can of soup. This is a much larger issue.
So for every 1% increase in the cost of the manufactured goods, you got to raise prices by 3%. Is that what you just said? Ed Rensi? Okay.
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So you just said for every increase of 1% on the manufactured good, you'll raise prices likely by 3% at the cash register.
Well, when you look at the P&L of a typical restaurant, it's only about an 8 to 10% margin. And anytime a price goes up a penny, you're going to have to raise the menu board 3 cents to offset it. It's just that simple.
All right. Well, we will leave it there. Ed will be watching. This is an important story. We hope you'll come back to talk more about it. Ed Rensi, good to see you, sir.